Hi, my name is Sharon. I'm 60 years old and I had surgery for my L5-S1 for a herniated disc 3 days ago, and I thought I would make this video for other people because I found looking at videos of people who had gone through the surgery and had been wrestling with the idea of even having surgery very helpful. I also found that a lot of the videos that had been done were done by people who were younger than I was, so I thought it might be helpful for someone who was in my age category to have a video of someone who was going through the same thing they were experiencing. So 15 months ago, I came back from a trip to see my family. I had gone across country, flown across country, and during that summer, I had done some flying back and forth. When I returned home, within a day, I started to have really intense calf pain. I thought originally that it was maybe deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot. So I went to the emergency room. They did a test called D-dimer and found out that I didn't have a blood clot. The pain continued to intensify and it eventually spread from my calf down to the bottom of my right foot. Felt like I was walking on about 6 inches of felt, and all the way up into my thigh and into my glute. The pain was so intense at that time. I'm a teacher. The pain was so intense that I couldn't drive. I couldn't sit in a car. But walking was great. And when I teach, I walk all the time. So my husband drove me to school. I lay in the back of our van. He drove me to school. I would walk for the day. He would come and pick me up, and for about 3 weeks, it was so intense that there was just very little relief to be had. I started physiotherapy. I did acupuncture. I started exercising. What helped in the beginning was ultrasound and alternating between heat and ice. I was also doing tramadol as painkillers. And over time, the pain diminished so that I could sit again, but not comfortably for long periods of time. And I continued to seek all kinds of treatments. I went to an osteopath. I did acupuncture. About 6 months into the pain, I got a lumbar injection and that helped a little bit, but the pain continued. And I wasn't thinking about doing surgery at that time because I really wanted to try all of the other treatments that were available to me before surgery. So with some painkillers, with anti-inflammatories, with I was doing gabapentin at the time. I was taking gabapentin at the time. The pain became manageable. I still couldn't sit for long periods of time, so I did all of my marking of papers laying down. I got a standing desk. I thought that might be helpful, but standing for any period of time was also painful, and I got a lot of pain in my hips and in my buttocks for doing that. A year after that initial flare-up, I again took a trip across the country. I go every summer to see my family across the country, and this time when I arrived at our location, I had an incredible pain flare-up where I couldn't do anything. Basically, I lay on my back and took tramadol every 4 hours. The pain was so bad that I flew home because where we were staying, I didn't have access to the kind of health resources that I needed. I got back home, and by this time I'd had an MRI that had shown that I had this disc extrusion. I had another spinal steroid, epidural steroid shot, and this time it didn't do anything. I started really intense physiotherapy. I was going every 2 days. I couldn't drive myself, so I was taking Uber, and finally got in to see a neurologist and decided at that time that I was going to get on the list for surgery. So surgery happened 3 days ago, and I'm feeling really quite good. The sciatica is gone. Prior to that, anytime I coughed, sneezed, peed, farted, tried to poop, I had shooting sciatic pain, and I think that was the worst. It was in my piriformis. At one point I thought maybe what I had was piriformis syndrome, and I had a steroid shot in my piriformis, which helped a little, but the sciatica just continued. So 3 days on now, the sciatic pain is gone. I still have some calf pain, some residual pain in my glutes, and definitely have pain at the injection site, but on the whole, I'm really grateful that I've had the surgery. It was a difficult decision to make. I was afraid. I was afraid I'd die. That was the first thing I was afraid of. I was afraid that the pain would get worse. I was afraid the pain wouldn't go away, and so far, I didn't die. And the pain seems to have gotten better. I just got back from a little drive to a local hardware store where my husband and I just walked around a little bit. I'm at home. I'm doing laps at home. So far, I'm up to about 5,000 steps a day. And there's a lot of laying down, and there's a lot of pain at the incision site. Sitting down still really hurts, so I can't sit for any length of time. But so far, so good. I'm really optimistic. And I thought what I might do is I'll post an update to let you know what it's like in a week, and then maybe we'll try again in another month and see what it's like. But I know that it's a super difficult decision to have surgery, and I would not have made this decision if I felt there was any other option, but I felt that I'd exhausted all of the alternative treatments that were available to me, all of the more conservative treatments that were available to me, all of the injections that were available to me, and I just didn't feel that I could go forward without the surgery. So far so good, and I'll let you know how it goes from here. Thanks for listening.